first time I saw Horrorshow was down at Canberra, first gig of our tour. And what I realized was, these young guys, they can touch the emotional depth with the audience. They can instantly get in with their words and get to your feelings to make you have, an emotional response. And that was, quite a mature thing for people just starting out. And I thought, wow, these guys can go far.
He's a deep in thought person, you know what I mean? So at first I didn't really get to hear much of his stuff because I'm so busy doing my stuff and then he's off doing his thing,
Solo is a notoriously slow eater, and it's quite funny because he's overly aware of it. Nick is just, grazing away, with Adit just kind of sitting over his shoulder. Well, are you done yet? Trying to get the scraps and stuff like that.
I guess every collaboration is different because it's, at the core of it, you have to have chemistry, And I've admired artists before and totally adored them and thought that the moment we collaborate, there'll be lightning bolts and, fireworks, but it doesn't work like that, It's a kind of like, there just has to be a really genuine, natural chemistry. And Nick and I were like, the moment we started singing together in my little studio at home, when we were writing In My Haze, you could hear that it was going to work.
So one thing that's made Horrorshow, rise to their success is their dedication. Like, they can just knuckle down and block out the world and then just focus on the music. They don't relent. They keep on going, and they're perfectionists as well. Hence, long time between albums, but it's worth it.
It relates back to how they work together musically. I think, Adit churns out these beats, boom, 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 but Nick, and you can tell from his songwriting and the way he puts his verses together, it's quite slow and thought through, Very thoughtful writer. And so it's funny seeing how those two things kind of relate to each other. Adit will be there going, man, have you finished this? Have you finished that? And he's like, I'm getting to it. But when it's there, it's always really good.
Adit's beats, his music that he writes is, I don't know, it's very emotive. There's a lot of pianos and sort of guitars, and it's kind of sample based, but like his, I don't know, his production is really, I think it works really well with the way Nick writes, Obviously Nick's a great writer and he writes, some of my favourite lyrics out of any sort of hip-hop songs come from that dude, and I think they just gel together. That's why Horrorshow is so sort of unique, and the way they are is just like they've found a really good sound together. It's one of those beautiful combinations that just came together and worked. Yeah.
Very characteristic as well, like it's so, you can always pick like a Horrorshow beat.
I suppose the quality of Nick is he's not loud, which is good. The last thing we need in this world is someone just yabbing on. So he's a good bloke, he's honest, and yeah.
I remember the first time I actually saw Horrorshow was when Tim was thinking about signing them, and they had a gig at the Bald-Faced Stag, and he was like, oh, you should come and check these guys out, I'm thinking of signing them up. I was like, all right, I'll come down. And what really struck me that particular night was the maturity of Nick's stage presence and like his lyrics from this guy that's just kind of, fresh out of school and was really just, I don't know how old he was.
He must have been like 19.
Yeah,
19 or 20
and he just had like really interesting songs, and like, for me, I was just really blown away from this initial gig. It was just so like, I just said to Tim, I was like, man, these dudes are awesome, you got to sign them up, and he didn't.
So Dubs was the guy who
I was really
basically,
the guy, so.
You can thank Dubs.
That's right. I gave him the extra word, but no, serious, not at all. But yeah, it was really great to see, and to see the gradual progression that they've kind of gone through has been really dope.
It was awesome having them on the road and watching these boys doing their thing. It reminded them of where we came from, and then inspired us at the same time, you know what I mean? And it gave us that drive to keep going. Whenever we hear something new from them, we'd be like proud and dope, but we'd also like, shit, these boys are ripping it. We better stay on our toes. So to have these dudes at their age, ripping it. It's such an inspiring feeling. So for everyone in Aussie hip hop who's not listening to these boys at the moment, get a late pass and bloody join the band, because these guys are killing it.